Okay, so welcome everyone. Know a few people are still joining us. That's okay. Welcome again to Founder Fundamentals. So happy and excited to have you all here again. We're almost at the tail end of our series now. So after this session, we just have two more sessions left, which is unbelievable because I still remember the very beginning of the series when we first started. So thank you guys all for joining us. So this workshop series is held in partnership with the Markham Small Business Center and is presented by Launch You. So I do want to let you know that this event has been a part of the workshop series. So we've had 11 workshops in the series, two more to go after this. And it's been a really great run so far. We've had lots of engagement from everyone, lots of participation throughout the sessions. So it has been really, really, really great. So thank you all for joining us. If you are new today, if you can type your name in the chat box and let us know, and we'll give you all a warm welcome. And I do want to remind you that York University has so many programs, events, and services for entrepreneurs. So if you're looking to start your business or you already have an established business, there are lots of support systems in place for you. And I actually do want to mention a exciting event that we have coming up next week, actually. So this is a great event. It's a part of a series that we have presented. The series has been in place since 2008, and we previously ran it as an in-person event. But now we fully transitioned to virtual. And the event that we have coming up next week is featuring Emily Mills, and she is the founder and CEO of How She Hustles. And Emily will be joining us to share her story. So it's a really great event to attend if you'd like to hear from an entrepreneur who's kind of been in your shoes and has lots of great advice to share. I really do encourage you to attend that event. If you're interested in registering, you can visit our website, launchu.ca/events. Now, in terms of this event, I do want to let you know that they are a total of 11 workshops in the series. And if you do attend at least 9 workshops, and you stay for at least an hour in each workshop, you will get a certificate of recognition from Innovation York. Now, this certificate will be issued in December, just after our last session ends, and we will be able to email you your digital certificate. So I think those are all the logistics I do want to mention. I do want to hand it off to Linda now, who is a part of the Markham Small Business Center, and she does have a few words to say. Hi, Linda.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all tonight. My name is Linda, and I am a coordinator with the Markham Small Business Center. The MSBC offers a wide variety of services for small to medium-sized businesses, including sessions on understanding startup regulations and requirements, budgeting and financial forecasting for stability, and business planning for solid foundations, plus numerous other special interest topic webinars. One-on-one services are available, but are reserved for Markham residents or Markham business owners. But many of our resources are free for everyone to use. So you can find out more on our website, which is markham.ca/MSBC. And if you'd like to get a hold of us, you can email me at msbc@markham.ca. I'll be sure to put that in the chat. And that's it for me. Thank you so much and have a great evening. I will be here if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Linda. So yes, Linda will be in the chat today to answer any questions that you may have. We also have David Kwok, who is our Associate Director of Entrepreneurship, joining us in the chat, and he will be able to help answer any questions that you may have. So I do want to give him a shout out because he's been really great in helping us, source a lot of the speakers in the series and the topics. So huge shout out to David. In terms of this event, we do ask that you keep your mics muted throughout the session, just because we want to avoid all background noise. And I do want to mention that if you have a question, you can type it in the chat, or you can raise your hand as well. So there's a raise hand function in Zoom that you can use. But feel free to type all of your questions in the chat and we'll get through it throughout the session. Now I would like to welcome our speaker. So the speaker that we have today is Abtin Masarataga, and Abtin is a really great digital marketing expert. And he is the CEO and founder of a Toronto-based digital and social media marketing firm called Northern Mo. So Abtin has over a decade of industry experience, and he's been featured in Forbes, Huffington Post, Inc.com, Entrepreneur Magazine, and many more. He really specializes in viral marketing, growth hacking, influencer marketing, social media marketing, and brand amplification. And Abtin and his firm have sold over 100 million worth of products online and have also grown over 30 million followers for themselves and their clients. So welcome, Abtin.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I will leave it to you to take it away, and you can go ahead and share your slides. I did share these slides with everyone by email, but I will drop it in the chat as well so that you can follow along if you'd like.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Super excited to kind of come in here and drop some knowledge bombs and see who we can help out. I'm going to have the chat open on the side the entire time. So if you guys have questions, I'm going to refer to it at the end of each slide. We're going to jump back and forth between the actual slides I've given here and a bunch of tabs I'm going to have open. I'm going to bring on screen to show you guys exactly how to use certain tools and how you guys can use them best for your business. If anybody wants to get super specific, I totally welcome you to drop the name of your business and we can even bring it up and get even more specific. So if you guys want, you can ask questions as we go, or you can save it to the end, and then we can even have people discuss their businesses and see what we can all kind of come up with as a group. So just to get started, just before we get started, I want to run a poll, and we're going to answer 2 questions that Diane is going to kind of bring up for us. So the first question is just going to be, how many of you guys are currently running your own online businesses? It's just a simple yes or no question. Oh, cool. We have both questions running at the same time. Yeah. And the second question is, are any of you guys running any paid advertising? This is primarily going to focus on what you guys can do for free. We're going to touch a little bit on paid at the very end, but I do welcome you guys to ask questions about anything, even outside the presentation by the end of it, just to see who can kind of pick up on what. Okay, cool. So there's about 18 of you guys that are running your online businesses, and about 10 people here who are actually doing paid advertising as well. So just to kind of get started on things, I'm going to give you guys like a brief history on myself before we get into all the tools and all the kind of techniques that we're kind of using through everything else. So again, really quick history on myself. My name is Abtin. I started this company when I was about 14 years old. I'm currently 26. We've done quite a bit, and we've worked with quite a different group of people. We primarily specialize at this point in email marketing, social media marketing, as well as optimizing people's websites to get the highest AOV and everything else that they could possibly need for their user experience, as well as developing apps for those people that are in the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store as well. So we've worked with everybody. So we kind of have a lot of experience that goes across the board in terms of just working with people who have online blogs, people who have e-commerce stores, iOS apps, Android apps. Again, optimizing websites for UI, UX design, working with tons of photographers and videographers and more. We've done well over $100 million in sales. I assume this is closer to $150 million in sales at this point, because I actually haven't tracked that and updated in quite a little while. And we do specialize in helping people grow their basically their network base to upwards of a couple million followers that they can then leverage going into the future to continue to bring back to be their customers. So a couple of the brands I really like to highlight that we've worked with is, the first one would be Self Care Station. This is a current client of ours that is nearing 1 million followers at this point. We've been working with them for about 2 years, and we've helped them gain well over 500,000 followers just through indirectly growing through great content that's built for their audience. So they didn't have to create separate campaigns that were dedicated to growth. The campaigns naturally came with making sales across the brand, and that's something that we're actually going to touch on a little bit later today. So we're able to increase their monthly sales by 20x at this point. This was 12 months into the brand, so now we're nearing 2 years into this brand, and they're averaging still to this day about a 3.4 time return. Another brand that I take a lot of pride in helping grow was Ivoriella. This is a brand that I've actually known the owners since the very beginning. And we helped them gain about 1.3 million followers on Instagram, 400,000 followers on Twitter, and we're helping manage about $5,000 USD in spend for them per day. And within a timeline of 2 years, they've grown the brand to do absolutely crazy numbers of well over $20 to $30 million in sales per year. A couple of smaller brands that we've actually helped grow from the start, because we've worked with a lot of really large brands that are doing $400,000 or $500,000 a month in sales, as well as small brands who are just kind of getting off the ground. So another small brand that we've actually helped grow is Claws. This is actually a brand that we work with very closely to this day, and we help them gain 100,000 followers within their first month. They put about $50,000 into the brand to do $43,000 in sales within the first month, with an average of a 3.31 time return on ad spend. The breakdown on that spend is a lot of the money that was spent for the actual follower growth, but the actual money dedicated to making sales was able to get a 3.31 time return on their ad spend. And the very last brand I'm going to show you guys before we jump into things is a brand called Misha Farsane. She's a small jewelry maker based out of Texas. And when she first came to us, she was only doing a couple $100 a month in sales, and we helped her 15x her sales within the first 3 months with us, averaging a 2.78 time return on her ad spend, as well as helping her launch her own iOS app that she could later use to target her top customers through push notifications. So kind of to get into the agenda that we're going to get into today, we're going to start with how can you build a digital strategy for free. The things we're going to cover in here are online tools that I love to use and resources that a lot of people don't know about that you can use to kind of spy on other customers, spy on other businesses that might be competitors of yours. How to build content that will resonate with your audience, how to fight the Instagram algorithm organically with followers that you already have or followers that you are naturally getting. Gathering data for free via pixels and kind of like how that works. We're going to talk about like the theory on that essentially. And then the DPA remarketing, what exactly is DPA remarketing? So a couple questions we already have are, can you explain ROAS? ROAS simply just stands for return on ad spend. So for every dollar we're spending, let's say you have 3 ROAS, that means when you spend $1, you're making $3 in sales. And obviously the higher your ROAS, the better it's going to be for you and your brand. What was the last Insta page you spoke about? I'd like to check it out. The very last one we touched on here was Misha Farsane. So this is, again, a small jewelry store based out of Texas. And then the other two, just to show you really quickly, one is called Save the Claws, which is the cat store. The other one is called Ivoriella. So it's just the elephant brand. And then the very first one more time, is Self-Care is for Everyone. So this is the brand dedicated to self-care. You're welcome. Okay, so the first thing we're going to get into is how can you build a digital strategy completely for free, doing your own research. The tools and resources that I like to primarily use for this are Facebook page transparency, unicornads.com, and Facebook audience insights. So the very first one I'm going to show you guys is Facebook page transparency. And this is for, honestly, if you guys are as avid online shoppers as I am with Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of coming up, you can utilize this just as a regular consumer, even if you aren't running your own brand or anything like that. So the way Facebook page transparency kind of works, will you be sharing your slides after the session? I believe the slides have already been sent to you guys.
I will drop it again in the chat as well for newcomers.
There you go. And also the whole thing's going to be recorded, so you guys can kind of check up on it after as well. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is kind of how to take like a sneak peek at different ads. So let's say there's a brand that you guys very much so enjoy and you guys want to either make a purchase from, or let's say you are a business owner and you know of 3 or 4 brands that are your direct competitors and you kind of want to get an idea of what's going on with them. Simply all you have to do is you can load up their website. So like if we load up Self-Care is for Everyone, if we simply scroll to the very bottom of Self-Care is for Everyone, and this is base standard for most businesses that exist at this point, you'll find their natural social buttons all the way at the bottom in the footer of the website. So this is their Facebook button, their Instagram button, their TikTok button, kind of so on and so forth. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to click the Facebook button and you're going to go to their Facebook page. Because Facebook owns Instagram, it's all kind of in the same place. You'll very easily be able to see all of the ads that they're running on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. So as we go through this, you're going to want to just scroll. You're going to see everything on the about, the kind of posts that they're running, a photo section, a video section. And you're getting down here and you're going to see something called page transparency. This is something that was most recently added after the 2016 election, because Facebook and Instagram and all these other social media players had to become a lot more transparent with all of the ads that were being run. So what you're going to see here is a see all button. Once you click the see all button, you're going to get this little pop-up right here. If you just scroll to the bottom of this pop-up, you're going to see something that says go to ad library. After you click this, it's going to take you to a whole new tab. Now, when you're in this tab, you can virtually see any advertisement being run by any company on Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, as well as the audience network. So let me just full screen this. So right off the bat, you can instantly see the amount of likes that they have on Facebook, the amount of followers that they have on Instagram, all the way down to where are the admins located of the page. And as we continue to scroll through here, you're going to get a few filter options. Naturally, it's going to show you the country that you're in. So because I'm in Canada, it's instantly showing me Canada. But if we want to see the way that they target to different countries, I can actually specify this. Typically, what I like to do is I like to look at the United States, because that's where most e-commerce stores and brands are targeting directly. But just for this case, we're going to just say all, just so we can see every advertisement being run at the time. You can also get even more specific, and you can go by platform, because if you want to see, maybe you're just specifically struggling with your content strategy for Instagram, or your advertising strategy specifically just for Facebook, you can even narrow it down further. But just for this, we're going to leave them all on. The first thing you're going to see right here is the date that the ads were launched on. So this is going to show you month by month when these ads were launched. So if I see something that was launched in the same month that I'm currently looking at, there's the likelihood chance of, I don't know if these ads are working just yet. They could just be ads that they're testing out and they're just like spending very low budgets on. We're not entirely sure. But the one thing you can tell from here is that this is what they're testing out. This is likely their new product. And I can see everything from the exact copy that they're using, and kind of study that, as well as the actual creative that they're using for these advertisements. So I can see that this brand has clearly introduced a couple of new shirts, and they're testing a video, one type of photo, another type of photo, and then like a whole fourth type of photo for these things. Also, if you're just a very avid online shopper, you can typically find a nice little discount code here that you can potentially use when you're checking out on a website. What if the page says this page is currently running ads with no ability to enter the ad library? There will always be an ability to enter the ad library. It'll never block you out. If you are struggling with that, what I might suggest is to try to look at another brand, just to get to the ad library page, because once you're here, you can virtually search any brand. So as we kind of scroll down through here, what you're going to see is that we're going to see ads that were launched as well in October. What you can tell from this is, as you continue to scroll and you find ads that are 2 months old, 3 months old, and 4 months old, you're going to get an idea of what ads are working. Because if they're 4 months old, 5 months old, there's a very high chance that they're getting a really good return on their ad spend from these ads, really great follower growth from these ads, or whatever the intent of that ad was. So what I always recommend that people should do is, before you really get into starting your online ads, kind of find a few brands that you might want to model yourselves after, and then keep checking in on them, maybe week by week or bi-weekly or even monthly. Take screenshots of these ads, because these ads are like, most of the time they're only showing you the active ads. They're not going to show you ads that have stopped working, and kind of build a timeline of your competitors and these brands that you almost aspire to live up to, because you'll be able to figure out what's working for them right off the bat. And you can kind of go and take what you've learned from them, whether it's from their copyright or from their creative, and kind of reapply that for your own brands, and kind of figure out what's going on, as well as you can see the discount codes they're running if you guys are heavily competing with each other. The other really awesome thing that you can really see here is that you can see exactly the platform it's being run on. So if you take a look at the ads, sometimes they're only running it on Instagram, or they're only running it on Facebook, and that might also give you an idea of, oh, if I'm going to create an advertisement that's actually very similar to this, I should probably only structure it for Instagram, or only structure it for Facebook. So also when you're here, I always recommend going to the very bottom and just keep flying through it, because you can go back as many months as possible, and you're going to get an idea of exactly what's working, so that you can take note for yourself. If there's any other brand, once you're in the Facebook ad library, you can search virtually any brand on here. So we're going to take a look at, like, we can click Huel. And if the brand is big enough that they're running and they're spending quite a bit of money in different regions, you're going to see that there are regional ads being sent. So you can go and look at all the ads being specifically ran in Japan, or specifically ran in Germany, or anywhere else that it is. And again, every brand is kind of doing their own thing, and they're doing it in very unique ways. So I always recommend having at least 4 or 5 other brands that you want to kind of study and compare for yourself, just so you can get a good idea of what everyone's doing, because what might be working for one company might not be working for another company. The really awesome thing about this is that you can see the way Huel is doing it is that they're being very informative based on text. A really cool thing to note, that text has kind of changed. Facebook and Instagram only used to allow you to have, I believe it was 20% text showing within your actual advertisement. Clearly, you can see here that more than 20% of the image is actually covered in text. Facebook and Instagram actually recently removed that rule, and you actually have as much text as you want placed on these images. And this is slowly rolling out to everybody come January and February as well. So that's kind of what you guys need to know about page transparency before you guys check out on any website. Always go look for an ad if you guys can't find the ad through like a Honey extension or whatever else you guys might be using on your Google Chrome. We're going to jump into the next thing real quick. Is there any questions that anybody wants to ask on page transparency? Relatively simple thing, and very, very powerful way to just always keep an eye on all your competitors. The next thing we're going to jump into is unicorn ads. So this is a great platform for those of you that might not have an idea of where what you think a good company that is running good ads is doing. If you want to take a look at the top companies kind of in the world and what they're doing, there is a website called Unicorn Ads. You can just Google unicorn ads and it should be the first one that comes up. But you can see the top 1% of e-commerce stores on Shopify and what exactly they're running. You can even segment this based on categories. So let's say you are somebody who's working in the female clothing niche. You can choose female clothing and it will show you the top brands that are in those categories. If you click any of these, this will bring you back to the Facebook ad library. So if I let's click on Ivriella, because this is one of the top companies we help grow. It will take us straight to the ad library and I can go instantly take a look at all of the deals they're doing, platforms they're going to run on, and exactly what was happening before. So this is a great place that you can go to and you can kind of research top stores and brands that are found in your industry essentially. So you can go back to accessories, beauty. If you just kind of want to see everything just completely from scratch, you can go back to the basics, see the full ad library. You'll see Gymshark's #1 because Gymshark's absolutely crushing it, doing $1 billion a year on Shopify. So again, Unicorn Ads is a very simple tool just to go study the top brands essentially in any industry based on Shopify stats. The last tool I'm going to show you guys is actually a little bit more of an in-depth tool called Audience Insights. So if you guys just Google Audience Insights, it's a Facebook tool that's entirely for free to use. You can just click the first tab and you're going to need a Facebook account and to be logged in to use this tool. So if you click the first thing that you find on Google, you'll see right here, there's a button that says go to Audience Insights. You'll click this next. And once you're in here, you're going to get this little pop-up. You can click everyone on Facebook. And all this tool looks very in-depth and a little intimidating because there's a lot of information on it. It's actually very, very simple to use. So what you're kind of seeing here is the audience that is based in the United States is the default it will show you. So if we want to add Canada to this list, we can type in Canada or any other country that you want to get information on. So we're just going to look at North America as a whole for this conversation. In this conversation, we'll show you exactly how to use this essentially. So in Canada and the United States, we have about 200 million to 250 million people using Facebook and Instagram. The really powerful thing you can use this tool for is that you can gauge how big your target audience might exactly be before you kind of really go after it with a specific product. So let's say in my case, I wanted to target cat lovers and people who just have a very high interest in cats. I can come down here to interests and I can just type in cats. When you search any type of interest, it will also list various other interests that might also be something you might want to use. So because Facebook knows virtually every single thing about you and Instagram knows virtually every single thing about you, if you're logged in on your computer, if you have the app on your phone, whatever it is, it'll be able to tell us exactly what's going on based on those interests. So if I'm just trying to see who has a very high level interest in cats, I can click cats. And right off the bat, I know that 70 to 80 million people have a very, very high interest in cats. The way I like to personally use this tool is I like to find audiences that are extremely large and go build products around these things. So a good way to explain this is that we're going to stick with 18 plus, genders, male and female, just as a simple high level interest in cats. And right off the bat here that we can see that 11% of those people are found between the ages of 18 and 24. Actually, you know what, let's get even more specific and let's just choose women. We can see that 11% of women ages 18 through 24 is what's being found in this audience. The majority of this audience is actually found between 25 and 34. So what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to cater ads that are specifically for people in the ages of 25 to 34. And then secondary, I'm going to start to focus on the group that's between 35 and 44 and kind of so on and so forth. The other really powerful thing you can kind of really get out of this is the relationship status. So I can see right here that 24% of the group is single, 17% is in relationships, 4% is engaged, and 55% is actually married. So realistically, what I should be doing is trying to create a product that might be meant for couples that could be for the man and the woman, or the woman and the woman, or the man and the man, and try to create a product that's developed for them, maybe like a 2-for-1 deal that's going on, or something else like that, because I know that more than half this audience that's going to see my ads, if I'm targeting people who have an interest in cats, is married or in a relationship. If you want to get really specific, and this could be really good based on if you're creating an educational product of some sort, is if they have a high school degree, a college degree, or even a grad school degree. So I can see that 62% of the group has a college degree of some kind. So if I am doing something education-wise, I can create an advertisement specifically for those in high school, specifically for those who have a college degree, and kind of so on and so forth. When you say you're going to target ads to a specific age group, what do you exactly mean? I've heard this term in the past, but I don't really understand how to execute this. Okay, so this is something that's more so meant for paid social, but it's just really great to know right off the bat when you are using it to apply to your products. So when people say that they're targeting a group, when we are running paid ads, I can actually just create an advertisement and choose an interest to target just that on. So I can be like, I only want to target people who have a high interest in cats, and Facebook will only show it to this group that I've specified here that is in the 45 to 50 million range. And it's literally as simple as that. I just input the targeting, interest level, and it kind of goes from there. It sounds a lot more complex than it actually is. Running ads are actually decently simple on the kind of starter level. So another really cool thing you can actually find out is the industries that they're in. So you can actually see the job titles. So I can see that 33% of these people actually have a role in admin services. And then sales, then healthcare, and then education, libraries, management, and kind of so on and so forth. What is the percent underneath the bars? So the percent underneath the bars is actually like a change that's happening, I believe, year over year on this. So like year over year, there's actually been a 6% gain in those who have a high interest level, in cats that have gotten married. So a lot more of them aren't single compared to where it was last year. So another reason this is really great is that you can come back and review this and see how potentially your target audience might be changing as they're aging and growing, to see if maybe you're getting so many new people that maybe it's not changing at all, or maybe your audience size is actually staying exactly the same and they're moving on to potentially a different stage of their life. So if they're moving from the age group of 25 to 34 to 35 and 44. The gray is the FB overall, the blue is your targeted audience. Yeah, so right here, what you can see is it'll gray out everything else that isn't in your target. So because I selected women, it's only showing women. It's graying out the blue because it's not showing you that at all. This is most of what you need to know from audience insights, because I like to find audiences that are very large to then go target through paid advertising. But I also love to just use this to plan my products and other things around it. So let's see if there's any questions on this before we kind of move on. Again, very simple stuff. You can use this to find more interest, and you can actually stack these. So if I search cats, I can add, for some reason, if people want to do cats and musical and cats, sometimes you'll see this naturally grow because those are multiple audiences you can kind of go after and target. I always suggest finding a few different audiences you can kind of target, and you can actually see if there's a big enough niche for what you want to build. Because a lot of people like to create brands that are very, very specific. And you can kind of come in here and see, is it big enough? Is it viable enough for me to come here and target? Because at the end of the day, for those of you who eventually want to get into paid social for your businesses, it doesn't cost very much to hit 100,000 people on Facebook. You'll spend anywhere from $5 through $20 to hit 100,000 people on Facebook. So if you have an audience size that is maybe only 100,000 people, realistically, you're going to burn through that audience rather quickly. Is there a way to target by ethnicity? I wouldn't say there's a way to target specifically by ethnicity, but you can target based on, what I was just doing is targeting based on interest that ethnicity might have. Such as we actually have a client who is doing a promotion for Diwali. So we're targeting those who have a high level interest in Diwali. Does the page likes tab show anything interesting? Yeah, so you can kind of go through here and you can get a little bit more information. Sometimes it'll show you other pages and other categories of those people. So top categories is the women's clothing store, baby and children's clothing store, pet supplies, comedians. So you can find other pages that kind of fit and have a very high connection to the interest you're kind of going after. If you guys do have the connections or do have the budget to spend, it might even be worth to reach out to these pages to try to interact with them and potentially do a collaboration with your brand for them. If you want to get really detailed, you can go into locations and kind of see top countries, top languages, top cities that they're located in, so that you can just narrow your ads even further down through geolocation. Are we going to learn the FB Ads Manager? Okay, we might touch on the FB Ads Manager at the very end of it. I might give you guys a very basic walkthrough on how to do it. But I do, yeah, I know that this wants to stick primarily to free, so we're gonna go through all the free stuff. And if you guys want to learn a little bit about the Facebook Ad Manager at the very end, we might just get into it. Can I CK global trends for SaaS market globally? Not through any of these tools in specific. Thank you for this info. If you have a Facebook ad account, how does it connect? So this is actually a tool that's found within your Facebook ad account. When you're kind of going through the hamburger menu, Audience Insights is one of the tools that's actually just down here. This tool isn't meant to do anything in your ad manager. It's meant to, you're meant to get information from it and then go apply it within your ad manager. But what I'm teaching you guys specifically is how to apply it within your brand. But yeah, you can use what you find here and then go to your Facebook ad manager. And in this case, I can create an advertisement and target, like, let's say.
You're on mute, I believe.
No, it says I'm not. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, everybody else can hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, cool. Do you create separate Facebook page for your company? Yeah, so you're gonna want to create a whole separate Facebook page specifically for your company, because as you start to get likes on that page, you can retarget people based on those likes. But can these strategies lead to conversions? Because I have multiple Shopify stores and I've been heavily marketing on the ads manager, but no conversions. So we can touch on that at the very end when we start to discuss paid. Yes, can hear you. Okay, cool. So yeah, anything paid, I'd say, like, let's say for the end, and we'll kind of come back to that. I had a feeling we're gonna get a lot of paid questions. But yeah, so you can take what you kind of learn here and apply it within your paid advertising, because I might want to do people high interest level in cats and then only target Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, because that's where 0.2% of the people are. Let's see, best ways, strategies, and tips to reach out to a brand decision makers for collaborations on marketing. It's best to just reach out to them, in my opinion, on LinkedIn, or try to find somebody who might be able to introduce you guys. And the best way to kind of really go about it is you need to be able to offer something in exchange. If you have a decent sized following that's equal to theirs, it will be a mutual relationship between the two of you to promote each other on each other's brands. But if your brand is much smaller or just in the beginning stages and their brand's a lot bigger, you might end up having to pay to do a collaboration or just try to figure something else like that. It all depends on the founder of that brand and what you end up negotiating. Are you going to talk about reaching out to influencers? We're not going to talk about reaching out to influencers today, but if you guys do have questions about influencers at the very end, I'm happy to answer any questions about influencers. Typically when I'm working with influencers, it's more so on an awareness basis, or I use them to create content for me that I then utilize for paid or just on my brand as a whole. Typically, I don't see too much of a return on ad spend unless you're doing a very large campaign that is very direct with influencers. You know, you're going to get a really good return on. Typically, what I've seen with the case studies I do is anywhere from 70 to 80% is the return on is the ROI that I typically get for campaigns that we run with influencers, unless they're longtime influencers who are essentially affiliates for you. Let's see, check out Collaborators. It's like Tinder for brand collabs. Very cool. So that's a great one. Penny just threw in there for people who want to do collabs with brands. Should I try to collaborate with Instagram influencers? I always recommend getting influencers and trying to create some type of an affiliate option where they can get paid for every sale that they bring you, if you can get them to agree on that, because essentially they turn into free salespeople for you. Hi, do you create separate Facebook page for your company? Yeah, so Rose, I always create a separate Facebook page for every single brand and every single company that we work with. Simply just to gather likes on that specific brand, because when you are doing paid social, you can create an audience that only targets people who've liked the Facebook page or who even just only follow the Instagram page, and you can get very specific with that, because that is probably your strongest audience, because they went out of their way to follow you or like the Facebook page. So let's move on to the next thing real quick. Let's see, page transparency, unicorn ads, audience insights. I guess, like, any more questions on these before we move on? Is creating a company page different than a personal one? Yeah, so creating a page is different than, like, it's not like re-signing up for a Facebook account. You log into your personal Facebook account, you can go to pages and you can choose to create a page there. And then that will become your page for your business. So you can think of it as it's completely different than having a regular Facebook account. So next we're going to get into is how to build content that will resonate with your audience. So when I'm creating content nowadays, I like to take a look at how everyone's been doing it. And the way everyone's been creating content for their brands is we're going to take a look at H&M and Haven Shop. These are both two really popular clothing brands. Haven Shop's really big in Toronto, and H&M is just a very large global brand. What you can kind of see here is that all they're really doing is posting photos of the clothing kind of over and over again. And you're not really, I'm only going to like a photo of a t-shirt so many times before I'm just kind of letting it scroll through my feed. And what ends up happening is that there becomes a disconnect because the algorithms on Facebook, Instagram, and these different social media pages, platforms, they want to show you what you're genuinely interested in. So what you're interacting with the most. What ends up happening most of the time is the pages that get the most amount of interaction and growth are those pages that are meme pages. Like a lot of these pages that are heavily content based around a specific category, whether it be clothing, memes, beautiful architecture, food, kind of so on and so forth, they end up getting the most amount of likes, most interactions, which is why you see them on your feed the most. And also why H&M has, I believe it's over 80 million followers and gets very low engagement. Is because you're not interacting with the pages anymore, leading to the algorithm showing it less to you. So what I like to try to do for the brands that I work with, and it's kind of like a new form of content, is trying to show as much real content as possible that makes sense for the brand. So what you can see here on the left, there's self-care, and on the right, there's Save the Claws. Self-care being a mental health dedicated brand that isn't, it's just an apparel brand, but all of the artwork is dedicated to mental health awareness. So what they'll do is instead of just only showing off photos of the clothing, they're actually going ahead and sharing the art on its own. And this is getting, the art itself is getting a lot of engagement, a lot of shares, and it's coming off as more of a content page than actually just being a brand on its own. So because these pieces of artwork and content are getting so much engagement, when they are making the post that is the actual clothing, although it gets less engagement, it's being shown to more people. And it's keeping your algorithm alive and stronger. So if you already have a decent following on any of your pages, or you're starting to grow out these pages, this will help you gain traction on your algorithm. Same thing for Save the Claws. Like the whole brand is dedicated to making donations to cat shelters. So they donate a portion of their net profits to these cat shelters. So what we like to do for them is, obviously the target audience is people who have a high interest in cats, right? So instead of me showing off only photography done of those shirts and of the apparel, what we like to do for them is we like to share a bunch of different content that's actually sent to the brand from the users, with just these like funny little cat memes and cat photos and cat videos of their cats just being wacky and being funny. These end up getting the most amount of shares, the most amount of likes, the most amount of comments and tags going on, which leads to a bunch of people coming to the brand, checking out the brand, as well as growing your algorithm and people you can then retarget later down the line. By retarget, what I mean is that, again, you can create an audience when you guys do get to the paid aspect of your business and you're running paid social. You can create an audience that targets people who've interacted with your Instagram page. They don't even have to be following it. If they've liked it, if they've commented, if they've shared it, they can then go and we can then go and then target those people. Should I create a separate Facebook account for my brand, even though I already have a Facebook page set up on my personal? I wouldn't recommend creating a separate Facebook account. Facebook actually doesn't want you to create multiple accounts. They will sometimes even likely ban you for creating multiple accounts. Facebook would like you to only have one account. So what I would suggest is playing it safe and only having one account. Do we have any questions about content in specific? Content, it's great to create content that goes around your brand and comes off as genuine information. So if you're running like a fitness brand, it's always great to show fitness workouts, diet tips, and then kind of show off your product as well. If you are in any other industry, sometimes it can be difficult to come up with content that might tie towards your brand. So it's always great to sit down and really think about what's the mission of the brand. So if you are a food company, sometimes it's great to create recipes that incorporate the food that you are selling, or the ingredient that you might be selling, and how people can utilize that. And that becomes regular content that might get shared out further. How about a boring brand like a kitchen item? Again, a kitchen item, you could probably say like, what recipes could people make using that utensil, and how could people use that utensil? And somewhere within that recipe, you can highlight, oh, if you did have this kitchen utensil, it would help you in X, Y, Z reasons. What kinds of content for services? Again, Jess, it totally depends on the service. So like if you want to toss in like the service in specific, I can see if I can come up with something on the spot. Does it matter if the content is in the photo or in the caption? I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be like a whole post dedicated to the content. So you could share it in the caption or you could just share it in the photo. How do you know what content people are interested in? This is what you're going to have to actually test. So you're going to have to go and try out different pieces of content to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. And you're going to gauge it based on the amount of engagement you get on that. You can figure out, okay, this type of post did really well. This type of post didn't do really well. It's all going to be tests and trials, as all advertising should always be. It's going to be infinite tests and trials until you find what works, what doesn't work. Never ever stop testing. Hello, is there a site like Facebook for B2B marketing? If you want to do B2B marketing, I highly suggest running on Instagram. On LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best for B2B marketing, and that's where we typically get the most results on it. Yeah. How do you know what content people are interested in? Again, yeah, it just totally depends. You have to keep testing it out and seeing what's going to work for you. Community orientated. So content for services that is community oriented. I wish we get a little more specific, like what the community actually is. If it's just you're just trying to build a regular community, it could help to kind of go based off of the model that Reddit is actually running. So Reddit, for those of you who don't use Reddit creates different sub communities for every single thing that's going on. So they have a sub community for those who have a heavy level interest in Apple products, a sub community for those who have a heavy level interest in fitness. So it might actually be worth for you to create content for every single little community that might be in your service, and then kind of push that out from there. And you can come and check out these different communities that exist. What about education services? Education services is actually like really good. It's a really great time to be advertising education services. I've spoken to a few different people who are in the education sector, and they're creating apps that are helping kids learn to read because there's so many people stuck at home right now, and parents are struggling to assist their kids with at-home education. So it's actually a great time to be targeting parents that are between like over the age of maybe 35 through 40, or even as low as young as 30 plus. And offering them almost like a solution to what's going on. And you can target people who have an interest in parenting through Facebook and Instagram ads. Let's see. I'm trying to create a new and improved food storage container. Your thoughts on content? My thoughts on content would probably be like, how can people, you're going to have to make content that's probably dedicated around recipes, and how can people then store those products store the ingredients using those things. Like you can create those like probably 30-second videos where people are grabbing the ingredients, popping the cases open, taking the ingredients out. And you can just highlight saying like, oh, this container is great because of X, Y, Z. And then you show them an actual recipe on kind of what's going on. Let's see here. Any idea for content on shoes? Oh, this is great because I'm a huge sneakerhead. Content on shoes would probably be you could probably go into the information on the material of the shoe, like those people who are walking through water, showing how it's like waterproof and all that kind of stuff. Content that compares to the shoe, what the shoe might have been inspired by, kind of so on and so forth. It doesn't always have to relatively be just the product. You can kind of show off the founders, the actual mission of the brand, and like those kinds of things as well. What about telling a story through your brand, not just in the stories? Yeah, I mean, if you guys wanted to create longer videos that you can then share, you can actually run them on Instagram or Facebook or wherever it is. You guys actually have the ability to retarget people who've watched over 50% or over 75% of the video because they actually have the highest intent to probably then convert because they showed the interest to watch that far into the video. So if you created a 3-minute video, 4-minute video, 5-minute video, and like those kinds of things. If we are selling ready to eat food and ready to drink beverage in grocery stores, what content would be best to maintain our posting frequency? Running out of ideas on what to post. Okay, so this is actually a really good question because you guys can get into what's called UGC. UGC is a very powerful thing that's going on right now. What UGC stands for is user-generated content. This is when you go and you actually get your customers to make videos and photos for you guys that you guys can then share. Because what happens a lot of these times, a lot of small businesses who might only have a couple hundred followers, when I go see that page, I'm like, do I trust this brand? It doesn't seem like a very big brand. Is it reputable? Especially when I might be buying food from it. But the second I start to see photo reviews, video reviews of real people talking about it, that's a bunch of free content you can get. And a simple way to do that is to send an email blast to everyone who's purchased from you before, offering them a 10% discount code, 15% discount code, or whatever it is that you want to do, saying that if they send you a video of them speaking about the actual product, getting a genuine review of it, you'll get a ton of free content, and it looks really, really great for your brand and can lead to a lot more conversions. I'm doing a motivational page on Instagram. I share motivational quotes 3 times a day on average. Any other ideas for content for a motivational page? I feel like I have a loyal base, but I want to deliver more value, but I don't know how. Also, it's kind of hard making content 3 times a day by myself. Is screenshotting content from other pages and sharing it okay? So what I would also recommend, and here, let's get to the next slide here before I hop off this topic, is that a really great way to do this is to offer exposure to other people who are actually making content. So if you are having a hard time making content and you're struggling with it, you can reach out to a couple of influencers who also might be small and willing to offer you their content for free as long as you're willing to credit them. I don't ever promote the whole idea of just like take someone's content and just share it. What's probably best to do is to reach out to them, get their permission, say, hey, I'd love to share your content going forward. I am willing to credit you if that's something that you want. And there's tons of influencers and people who are content creators that are small who are willing to share that with you for free because that's going to naturally drive traffic back for them. Would you have an opinion for a dietary and herbal supplement advertising? IG versus Facebook. I always recommend running on both and kind of seeing the results you're going to get, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Typically, Facebook is a little bit of a mature, older audience who probably has more money to spend, but also IG has grown very much past its very young audience to the point where everybody's on it now. Having an opinion on the actual advertising as a whole, I'd probably have to take a deeper look, and that's maybe something we can come back to at the very end of this presentation if you want to ask it again. We can probably get you on video and we can actually talk about it deeper and get into some tips and tricks. I'm starting a truck dispatching company. Any suggestions on content? I'm getting real specific here. It's not easy to always come up on these on the spot. Sometimes you should take time and again do some research into other brands and kind of see what they're posting. Same way like how I did through page transparency is always great to go look at their stuff. But I'll probably just post like tips and tricks on why you guys are the best and why you guys outweigh the competition as a whole. What's the main difference between marketing on Facebook versus Instagram? How do you choose which one to use? Honestly, Selena, there's not too much of a difference. It's all found in Facebook's ad manager. So when you are advertising on it, you're doing it you're setting it up all in the same place. Again, Facebook is a little bit more of a mature audience and Instagram is a little bit of a younger audience. But then in the day, they've both kind of grown so far to have both like all ages that you can kind of really go after. I wouldn't even say to choose one. I would say to run as many platforms as you possibly can and test and see what's going to work best for you. What about content for mortgage and real estate agents? Oh, I love working with like real estate companies because you can share some of the best real estate in the world and sharing some of the most beautiful condos and some of the most beautiful just like places that have architecture and those kinds of things. It's very easy because there's so many people who have such a love for architecture and beautiful homes, especially now that we're all kind of stuck inside. People are looking at that even more than ever, right? Any ideas for content on a gender neutral kids brand? Probably tips and tricks for anything that people can do, especially with their kids being at home and kind of like how they can help their kids that are at home. Tips and tricks for parents, essentially. I'm gonna have to start cutting this off soon so we can move on. But I will come back to all of these at the end if you guys want to re-ask them. Can you retarget through paid ads? You can definitely retarget through paid ads. That's gonna be on the very last slide that we're gonna cover. For everyone asking for ideas on content, I suggest reading Building a Story Brand. Definitely look into what Cody's talking about. If you started a website tomorrow and had $0 to spend on advertising, what would your strategy be to grow from 0 to 10,000 people to be aware of your brand of followers? What I would personally do is I would reach out to a lot of different people who, well, the idea's got to be sound. And you got to understand that it's got to be something that people are going to believe in and people are going to be willing to back you. But I'd probably build an army of small affiliates who would probably go push the product for me. And they would get paid for every order they essentially bring in. I probably wouldn't aim to make any profit on it. I'd probably give them a very large margin so that they have a very high incentive to go and sell my product for me. But essentially, you're building an army of free salespeople that essentially get paid through affiliate. How are those selling software such as AI? I've personally never pushed AI too hard. I've spoken to a company that makes AI headphones that it knows when you're focused and when you're not focused. So to turn off and on your notifications for your phone. It comes down to very specific. What is the AI exactly doing for the business? AI is really fascinating because you can create some really, really cool content around it if you have a great content creator. And you can just create very interesting stuff for those who have a very high interest level in tech, such as myself. Like it's every time I see an AI ad, I kind of stop and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Can I utilize this in my life somehow? And how would you answer to change if you had $200? I mean, real with you, $200 doesn't do very, very much. I'd probably use the $200 for DPA remarketing, which we'll get into at the very end. What percentage would you suggest paying affiliates? This entirely depends on your profit margins on your product. Are your margins 80% or your margins 20%? I would probably go as high as trying to break even and offering them the full margin to begin with for X amount of time before I have a really good user base and I can kind of move away from affiliates or start to reduce the margin that we're actually offering them. So at that point, I'm going to cut this off and move on to the next area. But if you guys do have questions or any questions I missed, we'll come back to it at the very end. So the next thing we're going to talk about is kind of how to fight the algorithm organically through Instagram. So what a lot of you guys will see is that there's two ways to really go about advertising on Instagram. There is the paid method, which we are not covering, but we might cover at the very end. And that's where you spend money to boost your posts, run through the ad manager and all that kind of good stuff. And then there is the organic method, which is something I like to call the friendship score. Essentially what the friendship score is, when I follow you or you follow me, how do we make it so that so that you guys are seeing more of the stuff I'm posting? The best way to go about that is through interaction. Instagram wants to show you what you want to see, what you're interacting with the most. So if you're liking every single photo I'm posting, if we're DMing each other, if we're commenting on each other, and like all that kind of good stuff, which I'm going to get into tips and tricks on how to do, we're going to be seen by more of each other. So it's going to get you the most bang for your buck for your followers without spending any money, essentially. Isn't affiliate marketing a bit dangerous as you're sort of giving away your brand and letting other random people who aren't invested in the brand long term? Yeah, so it can be dangerous, which is why you got to vet that group of people that you're going to build to be exactly who you want to be, essentially. And you're going to have to be very clear with what your message is with them. Agreed. I'm amazed at his off the comment. Thank you. My thoughts on TikTok. TikTok's a very young brand. It would be good for affiliate, in my opinion, but a lot of people I've spoken to who are using the paid aspect of it aren't getting the best results just yet. If you want to get really deep into it, like super quick before I jump into this algorithm thing, something to really understand is that when you run advertisements paid on Facebook and Instagram, there's a 27-day attribution window. So if I click an advertisement and I come back to look at it 3 weeks from now and I make the purchase, Facebook will attribute that sale and let whoever's looking at the ad manager know that a sale still came in through there 27 days later. So tracking is amazing on Facebook for the pixel, and that's what we're going to talk about later as well. But with TikTok, you have to click an ad and you have to buy on the spot there. I could click the ad, come back to it 2 weeks later. It's not going to attribute it to TikTok. So tracking isn't anywhere near as advanced as like Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, these other platforms like Pinterest and stuff are yet. So personally, I don't use TikTok very much right now. It's great for brand awareness and affiliate stuff, but at the end of the day, it's not somewhere I like to go to start a brand. It's something where I like to go when we have the extra money to spend on awareness and those kinds of things. So
Abtin, I think what we're going to do, I know we're getting tons of questions, which is great. And I know you do want to get through all of the questions, but I think it's almost impossible because they keep coming in as you finish. But how about we get through a few slides and then we'll take a little break and go through all of the questions. Keep your questions coming in and we'll try to get to all of them.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to talk about right now is how you guys can really take advantage of the friendship score and like just organically working with the followers you have and the followers that are starting to come in, and how you can keep your algorithm strong. Because what a lot of people make the mistake of is they gain hundreds of thousands of followers without taking care of their algorithm. And as they're gaining all these hundreds of thousands of followers, they're not really getting much interaction. And this is why you might see very large pages that have a lot of followers that get very little amounts of likes. And you might instantly think, oh, they're probably fake followers. Sometimes they're not even fake followers. Sometimes they just have a very terrible algorithm. So using these tips and tricks, you can keep your algorithm very strong. So the first one that I want to show you guys is running polls. This is a very simple thing that almost any brand can utilize in any single way. So I own part of a record label, and what I like to do for every time we throw a party at the record label or we're opening or a concert or whatever it is, I like to make a post on my personal account and say, my record label's throwing a party. Do you want an invite? I wrote yes and I wrote no. I could go even further, just write yes and yes, and people are going to start clicking on this and voting on this. Me showing intent that I care about that I'm giving my opinion to this brand is going to tell Instagram that this person clearly cares enough that they went and voted. They clearly care about the account, and it's going to grow my friendship score with that account essentially, and have an even higher chance of me seeing what's going on from that account. And I kind of take it a step further, that I go and I send a message to every single person who votes on this thing. So a very simple way that brands can end up using this is, let's say you are introducing a hoodie that's going to come in black and white. You can put a photo, you can just edit a simple photo where the black hoodie's on top and the white hoodie's on bottom. And you can say, which color do you guys prefer? Maybe if you have a couple hundred followers or a couple thousand followers, for your clothing brand, and people are going to vote on, oh, I like the black one, or I like the white one. And you can take this a step further and message those people and saying like, hey, thanks for voting and deciding that you wanted the black hoodie. Would you be interested in us giving you a discount? You can try to like secure a very simple little sale through there as well. So the reason that I highly recommend that you guys take advantage of stories, especially, is because stories are actually in chronological. It's the last thing that's shown in chronological order on Facebook and Instagram, because all of your feeds are all algorithmic. So if you are taking advantage of stories, which is the primary thing I'm going to show you guys how to use here, you can then use that to grow your algorithm so that the posts you are making on the feed start to gain more traction and like really bring back all those people that you might be missing. The next thing we're going to get into real quick here is post sharing. You guys have probably seen a lot of very large pages do this, and this is very simple to do. When you do make a post, that little paper airplane that you guys see at the bottom of a post, it looks like this right here. You can click that on your own post, and you're getting an option to add back to your story. The reason you should do this is because your story is seen by quite a lot more of your followers. Typically anywhere from 10 through 50% of your followers will see this post that you're sharing to your story, versus the 1 through 10% that typically see just the feed post. So another tip that you should take from this is that you should be combining a lot of what I'm saying, a lot of these different methods. So something I like to do here is because when you post on your story, it's chronological. If I make a post in the morning at 8 a.m., it's going to get buried in the feed by the time we get to 4 p.m. But when you make another post at 4 p.m., you come back to the front, people are going to click it, they're going to see the 8 a.m. post, and they're going to see that 3 p.m. post, right? So when you do share a post to your feed, what you should do is share it to your story, and then plan a couple of posts through the day that you're going to post on your story. So you can keep coming back to the front. You're going to maximize the amount of views that you're actually getting on the entire post, and you're going to get even more interaction going to the actual post, as people are going to click it, go to the post, end up liking on it, commenting on it, and sending it out. So anytime you're making a post, I always recommend trying to maximize the amount of stories you're posting afterwards. A very regular question that always comes out is how many times a week should I post, and that kind of stuff. That is always to your own discretion. I always recommend quality over quantity if you're posting once a week, but it's the best post you can really post out, versus like 18 times a day. That might lead to less engagement. It might actually hurt your algorithm because not many people are interacting with your page at all. The next thing we're going to get into is post tagging. The reason this is so great, and I actually tried to mend this around people who are content creators even. So when you are post tagging, let's say you post a photo on your brand page and you end up tagging the CEO of the brand, and people are going to see this. They're going to end up clicking it and going like, okay, cool. What is this person tagged here? And they're going to go to your page, and let's say you're the founder of the brand. Your bio says CEO of, in my case, the agency. And they're gonna be like, okay, interesting. I enjoy the brand. I also kind of like the CEO. I'm gonna end up following the CEO. This is what a lot of brands do kind of behind the scenes. Like how when you think of Tesla, you think of Elon Musk right off the bat. How when you think of Microsoft, you think of Bill Gates right off the bat. How you think of Apple, you think of Steve Jobs, and now Tim Cook right off the bat. When you build out on multiple different pages, essentially, you're likely sharing what you're doing with your brand on your own personal pages as well. So people love that, having that connection between, it's not just a brand. There's actually a real person who is running this brand and real people that I'm probably making a difference in. Like I enjoy the products that are made by this person. So you can use this as a way to build multiple pages at the same time. Also, it's less annoying because let's say you guys want to work with these very large meme pages or these influencers. Typically what happens is you buy a post from them, their followers typically get annoyed that they're posting a straight up advertisement, and they can tend to lose some followers. They might get some negative comments and those kinds of things. What I like to do here is I call this drip traffic, because it's very much less traffic, but you can do it for a much cheaper price. So what might be worth for you guys to do is reach out to those very large pages that you want to work with. But instead of buying a post that might cost you hundreds or thousands of dollars, you can say, hey, I would just like to be tagged in your photos for the next week on every single post that you do. Because what happens a lot of times is when you see this little photo icon, you kind of get curious. Like, I wonder what's tagged here, who's tagged here, what this is. If they tag you in every single post and you have an interesting handle, or if you just have a good handle, people are going to end up clicking it and going like, okay, cool, what's this page? They're going to come to your page. And if they genuinely check out your page and they like your page, they'll probably end up following you, interacting with the actual brand. So this is a way cheaper way that you guys can work with larger pages to get engagement and those kinds of things. The way I actually meant this for photographers as well. So when I was giving this presentation at Ryerson about 8 months ago, I had a photographer ask me like, how would I utilize this for my company? And I was like, why don't you team up with a couple other photographers to grow your page? You guys can tag yourselves in the 4 corners. So there's a team of 5. And what I would say is that the other 4 people are tagged in the 4 corners. If you guys have very similar content, you think your audiences might overlap, you're going to end up having people who go check out every single page and go like, okay, cool. I'm interested in this one, interested in this one, and interested in that one. And it kind of leads to cross promoting and cross traffic growing across all of those pages essentially. The next one I show you guys is actually very simple, but something a lot of brands kind of miss out on and don't take advantage of. So there's 2 photos here. The photo on the left is a photo from my personal page, and the photo on the right is also from my personal page. I did 2 things different on the photo on the right compared to the photo on the left. The photo on the left side simply has, it's a very landscape photo that was taken of me paddleboarding through Lake Ontario. And something to keep in mind here is that when you do post a photo that's landscape here, although you might take some very beautiful landscape photos or have a content creator that's making very beautiful landscape photos, because our phones are constantly getting larger and larger, when you actually look at this on a device, you're probably still going to be able to see the post that's above it and the post that's below it. So psychologically, if there's colors that are more attracting or anything that's more attractive about the post below it or the post above it, there's a very high chance people are not going to interact with your post at all, which is going to lead to hurting your algorithm and dropping your reach overall. So what I always say is to take maximum advantage of the post size that you're allowed to run on Instagram. So the photo on the right, the actual dimension size, I'm going to say this twice just so you guys can write it down, is 1080 pixels in width is the max size that they're going to let you use. So again, 1080 pixels in width, and then 1350 pixels in height. So 1350 pixels in height. This is the largest size that Instagram and Facebook will let you post on the feed. And this will likely most times cover the entire screen, which leads to the most amount of attention being brought from the user to the actual post you've made, which is going to lead to the highest, your best chances of getting interaction, whether it's a like, a comment, or a share to your post. So when you do this, there's a very low chance that people will see the post above or below. So definitely something great to utilize. Something that some people struggle with is, oh, I took a beautiful landscape photo. There's no way I want to crop it and lose what's on the sides. What you could very easily do is just leave a white background on it and like add borders so you can maximize the size and maybe put some information there, whether it's your website or a tip or trick for something else. So definitely take as much advantage as you can with photo dimensions, because as our phones get bigger and bigger, you're going to want to do your best to keep the attention of the user there. The next thing we're going to get into is the meme method. This is great for those of you who want to work with those very large meme pages and really get as much bang for your buck. Something to take in here is that this was a method that actually went viral on Facebook a very long time ago, for people who wanted to tag you would see a post that would be like, oh, you have to tag @S and this person owes you McDonald's. So the way this works is that when somebody types in @ and a letter, Instagram, Facebook, and all of these different platforms are going to show you a list of the users that you're friends with and that you follow. You're going to be able to tag them, and what the average consumer is doing now is that they are typing in @S and they're going to tag their first friend, whether it be like maybe Sarah, and be like, oh, Sarah, you owe me this product, or you owe me this thing, or whatever this is. This is going to lead to an absolute ton of people tagging their friends and sending a ton of free traffic to the actual post that you've bought. So this page typically doesn't get 600 comments. This page typically gets 20 or 30 comments. But because we ran this method on the page to promote this jewelry brand we were working with, we ended up getting 623 comments. We ended up tagging the brand in it as well. So a lot of people who did have an interest in the product, who came just to joke around with their friends through a comment, might have seen the actual brand, gone to the brand, and potentially purchased from the brand or end up following the brand, continuing to grow its user base. So this is a very simple, funny meme that almost anybody can take a product from, turn into a meme, and work with these large meme pages that typically are cheaper to work with per portion of follower size compared to influencers that might be a lot more specific. A lot more expensive that are a smaller size. The next thing we're going to get into is shoppable feeds. This is anybody who doesn't have a shoppable feed at this point. It's very simple. You can very easily Google it, and you can add the price to remind people, oh, hey, look, this product costs this much. Because some people might see this product originally and be like, that looks like a very expensive ring. I don't know about the price, but you can tag people to go, it's only $38.99. It's a very, very reasonable price to purchase off of and sell. Another thing to take in mind is that even if you're offering just a service, it's sometimes great to have a shoppable feed. Because if your website is based on Shopify or anywhere else, such as if you're a photographer, what would be great is if you remind people that like you're posting great content, but instead of constantly saying this photo shoot costs $500 over and over again, all over the caption and stuff, and kind of annoying your followers, you can very simply tag it saying photo shoot cost $500. And people are only going to see it when they click to see the tags that are placed within the photo. So this can be used in many different ways, even if you're not just selling products. I highly recommend it. The very last thing we're going to do is what I call securing the bag, and this is where you can make a ton of very easy sales as well as gain a lot of loyal customer trust and grow your algorithm really, really immensely. Typically what's happening now is that many people are following anywhere from 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 people on Instagram and Facebook and wherever else it is. But very few of you are actually engaging with all 1,500 people. There's maybe 10 to 20 people that you're speaking with on a conversation that goes back and forth as much as this one right here in this photo does. Something to keep in mind here is that when you gain a follower, it's always great to interact with them and great to reach out to them. So what I like to do for this jewelry brand is we'd reach out to them saying, hey, which one's your favorite ring? This girl responded with definitely the statement rings. I'm more of a rose gold girl, though all your designs are absolutely beautiful and stunning. And we ask, have you ordered from us before? I say, no, not yet. I'm saving up for it. I'm going to buy a ring myself. She responded with, thanks for texting, though. It's nice to know a company actually cares about its consumers. You're coming off as a brand that actually cares about its consumers, which is huge nowadays because not a lot of people are really doing that or engaging with their new followers at all. What we did after this was we offered her a custom discount where we made a discount code with her name. So if you're a very small brand, you guys do have the time to do this and every sale kind of counts for you. It's a great thing to do. It becomes very personalized. And if that happened to me, I'd be like, wow, this company is like really genuine. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to make a purchase, especially because I got this discount code. If you want to add some urgency, you can be like, hey, this discount code is going to expire in a week or something like that. And you can kind of take it from there. Or if you guys want to take it kind of a step further and really, really have things work out for you is when you're making discounts, whether it be on Shopify or any other brand, you can typically set it to be a percent or you can set it to be a dollar amount. A lot of people take dollar amounts into a better perspective because when I offer you a discount, you're kind of like, cool, I could use that, I could not use it. But if you're offering people a quote unquote a gift card where it takes off the dollar amount of $5 or $10 or something that might work out best for you, people feel more obligated to spend the money when it's given to them as a gift card that might expire on a certain date. So what I would almost recommend is if it does work for your brand, if maybe you have a higher cost product with good margins, like if the product costs $80, you can offer them a $30 gift card and that's still within your means. People are going to take very, very well to that. Hi, Abtin. How do you obtain and apply the shoppable feed to your Instagram business page? So this totally depends on what exactly you are integrated with. If you're integrated with Shopify or WordPress, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, you can very simply Google how to integrate that with your Instagram, and you'll be able to tag things because it'll essentially attach your catalog from the store, whether it be Shopify, WooCommerce, or whatever it is, to the page. Instagram will approve it for you, and then you'll be able to add those shoppable tags. So depending on the respective platform you're on, I would say there's a million and one guides on Google. Just very simply Google it, and you'll find the tutorial that's probably best for you and your brand. So these are kind of those are kind of the tips on kind of how to take advantage of the organic algorithm. So does anybody have questions on any of these tips and tricks? There's actually one that's missing from here that I highly recommend doing. It's the ability to show carousels. A lot of people believe that when you are, let's go back to this one actually. A lot of people believe that when you're scrolling through the feed, sometimes you're shown the second photo in a carousel, the third photo in the carousel, or the fourth photo in a carousel right off the bat. Some people believe that, oh, that's probably the photo in the slider that got the most amount of likes. What's actually happening is the first time you scrolled through Instagram and you close the app, you didn't really pay attention to the photo. You didn't interact with it in any type of way. You just flew right past it. And this is what happens a lot of times for the landscape photos. You didn't interact with it at all. So when you close the app and you open the app again, Instagram's kind of giving it a second and third chance by having you scroll. Now you're seeing the second photo and then the third photo. So you can kind of take advantage of sliders by having yourself come up on the feed multiple times. I highly recommend, like, if you are a fitness influencer, instead of creating a 5-minute video that's like, this was my chest day and we benched and then we did biceps and then we did this. What might be great is if you broke up each slide to be dedicated to each workout and kind of things like that. So you come up on the feed a couple different times, and this will likely lead to you getting more likes, more engagement, and being seen by more of your followers. Question, TQ Thank you for your kindness on giving discount code and ask for a video review about food and drink they purchased. After receiving their video reviews, do we need to ask them permission to post it in different social media places and websites? I would always just put that in right off the bat before in the original message where you're like, hey, I'd love to offer you a discount to create a video review that we would like to share on our pages. So you can kind of bang out that whole thing all at once rather than going back and forth and kind of creating additional work for yourself. If one posts an Instagram ad, will it show up on Facebook automatically? No, it won't show up on Facebook automatically. Kind of what will happen at times is if you will have your Instagram page linked to your Facebook page, you can have it share on both at the same time. But some other really great tools, if you guys want, is a one called buffer.com. It's buffer.com, or you can use later.com, which is later.com. These two tools have a free version that lets you schedule posts. And you can schedule it to every single platform at the same time. So you don't have to worry about posting on your, like picking up your phone, like setting an alarm for 12 o'clock, posting on IG, posting on Facebook, and trying to hit all those things at once. You can schedule everything out. And the awesome thing about the free version is if you guys are only managing one brand and you're running your own brand, you have the ability to just stay on the free version, which I think will let you plan the next 10 or 20 posts going forward. And if you are in industry where you have multiple brands, they have very cheap paid plans that have pretty good limits, like 200 in advance. So you can plan a month or 2 months in advance as well. I have yet to create a website. Which platform do you suggest that is budget friendly for small business? I am absolutely in love with Shopify. I will recommend them to everybody. You don't even have to be selling products. I always recommend them out because it's very simple to use. They have 1,000,001 apps that you can kind of take part in and utilize for your store. We've built a ton of stores that were like a ton of websites for accounting firms, restaurants, all these kinds of things, all based on Shopify. And it's relatively cheap, super easy to use. You don't need any coding knowledge. It's all block builder, and they have a bunch of themes that you can kind of pick from to really use that might utilize best for your store. So again, I am very huge advocate for Shopify. I'd say next to that is Squarespace. Squarespace is also very easy to use. But again, I totally recommend using Shopify. They have a free trial, so you can kind of hop on there, build your store or build your website and see if it does work out for you. What are they called again? Yeah, again. So later.com, buffer.com. Thank you, Darren and David, for resharing those. Amazing tools that Later and Buffer, you can use the free version. And for websites, again, Squarespace and Shopify. You're very welcome. Let's jump into gathering data from pixels and kind of how pixels work. So I'm not going to show you guys exactly how to do this because on different platforms, it's differently used. There's very simple guides on how to Google them and how to find them and utilize them. So kind of how they work is they're free to use. Snapchat has its own pixel. Facebook has its own pixel. I believe Pinterest has its own pixel, and a couple of other ones have their own pixels. And what it is it's a simple line of code that you can integrate to your website. Once you've integrated this to your website, if I have Instagram logged in on my phone or on my computer, sending with Facebook or any of these other social media platforms, the second I hit that website, it's going to let Facebook or Instagram know that myself in specific went to that website. So once you start gathering this information, and like you don't have to utilize it through paid advertising just yet, but just having the information gathered is very important, because what you can do later on is come back and target those people going back 90 days, 180 days, 360 days, depending on what you're trying to do, and hit them with an advertisement saying, when you guys are ready to do paid advertising, to say, hey, check out this product that we brought out. So you can bring a lot of people back, as well as if you have a lot of people coming to your brand and purchasing from your brand, just having this pixel on the website, the pixel's learning and getting smarter. So that when I want to go and find a group of people that are very similar to the group of people who've already bought from us, this is called a lookalike audience. And this is more so paid advertising also. When let's say I get 2,000 purchases on my store, the pixel is going to track every single one of those people if the pixel was installed before those purchases happened. Then what I can do is I can go to Facebook or Instagram, and because it studies every single thing about you and it knows your shopping habits, are you an impulse buyer? Are you does it take you 7 days to look at a product before you buy? Do you have a heavy level interest in elephants or cats or whatever it is? I can then go and create a lookalike, and it will find anywhere from 2 to 25 million people who are the most similar to that group of people that purchased from me. So rather than me kind of going and taking a shot in the dark, I can go and create an audience that is the most similar to people who've already purchased from you, because they probably also have very good odds of purchasing from you as well. Thank you for the info. How would you suggest getting the best quality images on social media when posting to IG? It always seems to come out as bad image quality. Will posting on Hootsuite cause this as well? Typically, when you're posting through these platforms, there shouldn't be much compression happening. Naturally, Facebook and Instagram have to compress your stuff, because if they don't, they're going to run out of like data servers and be spending infinite amount of money to store everyone's super HD photos. Yeah, what I would do is probably I'd compress the photo as far as I could through a compression website or through a compression software, which you can easily Google and kind of find online, and then go and share that to Instagram and Facebook, and they probably won't compress it too much further. Yeah, that's kind of like it's a tough one. There's not much you can do because they have to compress your stuff. I need to set up my pixel, but I am lost in that area. Okay, so to make things very easy, Facebook and Instagram, like let's say you're setting up the Facebook pixel. So let me just load it up here on the side. They make it super easy for you guys because they have detailed guides on how to set up the pixels. So this is the Claws pixel right here. There's an absolute ton of data on it at the moment, like 137,000 views on the page views, and kind of so on and so forth from purchases and onwards. What we can do is when you are over here and you create a pixel, so I believe, no, it's going to create an ad. When you do end up creating your pixel here, it's going to walk you through the setup process. And whether you're using WooCommerce, Squarespace, Shopify, or whatever it is, or if you have a custom developer, it will literally give you the option to send instructions to the custom developer or wherever else it is. Typically, most of the time, if you guys are using a Shopify-based store, you'll be able to do this. I'm sorry, what are pixels? Pixels are just a simple line of code that track every single person that comes to your website and checks things out. So you don't need to pay for pixels. They're entirely free. They're provided by Facebook, Snapchat, and everywhere else. So let's bring this back here. So let's say you guys are Shopify based. You guys can add the sales channel that is dedicated to Facebook. When you come here, all you have to do is basically set up. You can set up your Facebook shop, your Instagram shop, and those kinds of good things here. Once you have the option to set up Facebook marketing, it will simply let you integrate to Facebook, and you just copy the code ID that is given to you by the pixel. It sounds very kind of like all over the place if you've never looked at a pixel before, but it's very simple to do. There's a million and one guides if you just Google how to set up a Facebook pixel. And again, this is more so just to like discuss like how it works, not how to set it up. But you can very simply add the Facebook shopping channel, the Snapchat shopping channel, and add that pixel there for you. The pixels are all free to use. They're all found in the ad managers of the platforms when you do go to create them. Do pixels work for service-based businesses? Pixels work for everything. You can retarget anybody and serve anybody ads from any business. So even if you're offering a service-based business that you don't sell a product directly online for, I can still go and re-show the advertising to anybody who visits the website through my pixel. It doesn't have to be through purchase or something like that. Any single person who visits the website, interacts with the website in any type of way, I can then retarget using the pixel. The pixel is just a glorified tracker is what it is. It just constantly tracks. It knows what's going on, and it's entirely free to use. So it's a great tool to just have on your website, even if you're not running paid ads. Because maybe in 6 months from now, you're going to decide to run paid ads, and you can use it to go back and target anybody who visited the website before. Because if you didn't have a pixel on your website, it's just missing data that you could have very easily collected. As well as maybe your company grows and you guys want to sell the company one day. This pixel data is essentially an asset to your company that will add value to your company that you can then utilize to sell later and bring up the value of your business in that acquisition. Does a pixel mark a visitor and keep a list of people who visited your website, and can you later market to them like a secret email list or something like that? This is basically exactly what it is. The pixel won't tell you exactly who visited the website. They won't give you that information. You can't export a list of who visited my website, what's their email, and that kind of stuff. But what you can do is it keeps a track of how many people visited, essentially. So like, let's bring this back up over here. It has a track record of the 137,000 visits that I got on this pixel, essentially, that I can later go and retarget. So you know what? Let's jump to the next slide because this kind of like flows into that. What is DPA remarketing? DPA remarketing is dynamic product advertising. And what that exactly is when you guys go to the Nike website and you look at a very specific shoe and you come back to Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, and you see that exact photo of the shoe, this is what DPA remarketing it is. The pixel was able to know that you looked at that exact product, went back to Instagram or Facebook, wherever it was, and it's showing you that exact product because you probably have the highest chance of converting looking at what you were looking at before because you were so interested in that product before. So if you didn't have a pixel and you weren't tracking that, you wouldn't be able to do that. So again, highly recommend setting up the 2 pixels I highly recommend setting up from the start is the Facebook pixel, which acts for Facebook and Instagram. So you just need that one for both platforms because again, Facebook owns Instagram, as well as the Snapchat pixel. That's a whole other pixel. And you guys can very easily set up DPA remarketing. Sounds very difficult. I'm only going to talk on the theory of it and kind of how it works. I'm not going to show you guys how to really do it yet. But there's a million and one tutorials on how to set it up, and it's very, very simple to set up. I'm talking like a 15-minute setup on having these ads run. You can spend as little as $5 to $10 a day on it. I know we're trying to stay on free, but if you guys do have the budget to spend anywhere from $5 to $10 a day, it's very simple money that you can make back. You're going to typically have your highest ROAS, your return on ad spend, on DPA remarketing. Every brand that we work with has anywhere from a 2.5 through a 20 return on ad spend just through DPA remarketing. What a lot of people would like to do is they might already have a traffic source that's bringing the traffic in. This is just a little kick boost to be like, hey, you should come check this out. Because the more times you show a product to somebody, the higher chances they are of converting on it. So again, pixels, very important. It's just free, low hanging fruit that you can very easily pick up. If you don't have a Shopify store, where do we place this on our website? Yeah, so everything has its own tutorial. If you guys are using WordPress, Squarespace, anything else like that might not be Shopify, there's a tutorial for it, likely on the actual platform itself. Like Squarespace, I think in the FAQ has descriptions on how to install them. If they don't have a specific place to put into the actual site, if you guys developed a site or you're working with a developer for the site, you can very easily pass it off to them and say, hey, I need you to install this on the website. If you develop the website and you guys know how to access the code, it's very simple. Facebook or Snapchat will give you a line of code that you guys can copy and paste into the header of the website. And it's as easy as that. And you don't have anything else that you need to do. They even have a diagnostics tab so you can actually test it to make sure that it's working. So very, very simple to set up. There's a million and one guides across the internet. I'm going to leave this last slide here again as well for questions. If you guys need help with any of this stuff, by all means, feel free to reach out to me. Anybody who might be kind of shy here and doesn't want to talk about their brand or doesn't want to ask a question that they might feel they just don't feel like asking to a group of people, by all means, send it to me on email. I'm more than happy to hop on like a 15-20 minute call with anybody completely free and just discuss with them and answer any questions they might have about their personal business, and kind of get my opinion on it if you guys want to ask it for the next half an hour that we're going to have. Let's see. People told me Shopify or Wix or Squarespace is great to create a website, but don't have good SEO performance. What's your comment as an active user? So I personally don't actually do very much SEO, but I can speak on that they do. It is harder to do SEO with them, but you can still do it with them. At the end of the day, the best way you should do everything is to build a custom website completely from scratch through HTML. But a lot of us don't have that kind of a budget. A lot of people who are just kind of getting started, they're going to want to use Shopify. They're going to want to use Wix or Squarespace because it only costs $20, $30, $40 a month, and it's definitely within their budget. But what you can do is, as your brand's continuing to grow, as long as you keep your domain, SEO goes through something called domain authority. So as long as your domain authority is like pretty good because you're getting all this extra traffic from Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you'll naturally gain through the ranks of Google regardless. There are a ton of SEO experts that you guys can kind of reach out to get a lot of push going to the website. And typically that comes through having very good articles written about the website when you get featured in places and those kinds of things. Are you doing any email marketing, or are you only using Facebook, Instagram ads? I actually do a ton of email marketing. Email marketing is very, very powerful. When you do set up email marketing, it will typically add anywhere from 5 through 20% to the income that you're already making. Going through like a welcome series where you offer them that initial discount of maybe like 10%, 20% or something like that, just for signing up, and you can make that a pop up on the website. A couple of other things I like to do is like a post-purchase follow-up where, again, we're reaching out to them, offering them that discount that's going to lead to another sale, and they're also going to provide us with user-generated content that I can use. And quite a few other things, like a lot of the food brands that we end up working with, like we work with an ice cream brand, and 30 days after a purchase, they get a follow-up email that says, oh, hey, it might be time for you to restock your ice cream. So setting up a lot of really good flows through email marketing can be a very, very powerful tool. A lot of people think email is underrated. It is, in my opinion, the most powerful tool you can get once you've built out a proper email list. If you guys can grow an email list to 100,000, 200,000 people that are actively opening your emails, you can make quite a bit of money just using that and retargeting alone. If you guys don't want to spend any more money growing the brand for whatever reason it is, as well as when you grow your email list out and how active it is, it can be a very powerful asset for, again, when you get acquired or when you're selling the brand. Do we give a discount code directly in the email asking for video review, or do we send it to them later after? You're going to want to send it to them later after so that they don't just take it and run. But if you want to give it to them right off the bat too, that kind of works too. It's going to lead to another sale for you through $0 cost acquisition. But I would recommend waiting until after they do it. When we are in company Facebook through our personal account and would like to join the group for the company purpose, which profile is the group going to see, the company or our personal name? If you are posting from the Facebook page of the company, they will only see that one. You actually have the option to adjust what it's being posted from. I believe it automatically selects the page option, and they're not going to see who's actually posting it. This is awesome. I'm glad I found it. I recently started a page for my twins, IYO Twins, on IG. They are actors. We were in a grocery ad that recently got picked up on television, so I'm wondering what are ways to grow their followers. Yeah, again, like if you want to spend some money to boost it out to people you think might be interested in that, definitely go after that. Very specific question. It's a lot more difficult to grow personal pages. But yeah, I would end up targeting people who have a high level interest in whatever you're posting the most about for your twins. Any tips for promoting mobile apps? I love promoting mobile apps. You're going to want to focus on, if you're doing paid advertising, you want to focus on the conversion campaign dedicated to, let me just bring it up right here. So for those of you who have an interest in paid, what you can actually do here is one of the campaign optimization objectives is actually app installs. So it will find the people who have the highest conversion chance to install your app. Tips and tricks around it is probably a lot more specific. So I don't know if you want to like say the app or what it's kind of about, but definitely creating content that is very interactive, very eye-catching, and offering people. A lot of people, what they're doing right now for apps is they're making it so there's a free version of the app and then having a paid upsell rather than having the app cost money right off the bat, which is really, really great. It's just in-app purchases. I recommend really showing off the free version of it, getting people to just download it, and then convert them later on within the app. Thank you very much for your awesome presentation. You're welcome, and thank you for the comment. Hi, everyone. Please take a moment to fill out the short survey. Thanks. Do you have any PC build advice for Premiere Pro? This is very specific. I'm actually a very heavy Mac user. I built a Mac Pro, and that's kind of what I'm using at the moment, so I don't have PC-specific build advice for you. You're going to need a lot of RAM. I have 96 gigs of RAM, just kind of run all my stuff when I'm exporting anything through any type of video app I'm using. For Instagram, do you have one account and then the brand account underneath that? No, it's the brand just has its own account, and that's all you're going to need for Instagram. But when you're on Facebook, you're going to need a personal account, and you're going to have to go to Pages and create it. I know it's a little weird because it's two different companies that own, it's two different platforms owned by the same company, so it should be the same way, but it's not. On Instagram, you're going to need a whole separate account, but on Facebook, you just only need your personal account. You go to page sections and you create a page for it. Thanks for a great presentation. You're welcome, and thank you for the compliment. What platform would you start to use email marketing? Oh, like by far, Klaviyo is the number one thing I like to use. Klaviyo. This is how you spell it. It's Klaviyo. It is phenomenal because actually, let me hide this and bring it back for a second. If you guys don't know email marketing, you don't need to know very much email marketing because what they do is they actually offer you all these free tools within it. So let's say I want to create an email marketing campaign dedicated around abandoned cart, and I don't know how to do that. Let's say I don't know the first thing about email marketing and abandoned cart. They actually leave all these different just like blank things right here. So you can let's go to abandoned cart reminder, high value cart, and low value cart. So once I click this, it already has a template pre-built for exactly what's going on. For the value of less than $100, is the value less than $100? Yes. It won't offer them any discounts or anything like that. It'll just say, hey, you left this in your cart. And this is kind of what's going on. And you can add time delays. It has pre-made templates with pre-made time delays, and they've done their homework. They know what's working for them because they have like thousands and thousands of users. So you can just come here, take a template that already exists, go and adjust it, and then put it out for yourself and let it run. Also on top of this, because this is a value conversion, so if they are spending over $100, and you can change these values and these triggers to be whatever you want. So if they are spending over $100, maybe you want to offer them a discount because this is a high level conversion. So over here, it's offering you 20%, and it sends you another reminder 20 hours later saying, hey, you want to use that 20% before it expires. The really awesome thing about Klaviyo too is that it integrates really, really well, again, with Shopify, because I'm a huge fanboy of Shopify. It integrates really well, so it'll actually create custom discount codes for every single email it's sending. So you don't need to go and make a million discount codes for a million different people that you are sending this to. So again, highly recommend Klaviyo. It's relatively well priced as well. I believe they have a free version if you have under 500 emails being sent a month, which is really great to start and play with. And the best part is that it's free. Let's see. Do you think building an inspo page before you launch your product of line is a good idea? I plan on coming out with the clothing brand, but currently just started the IG page for similar content. I do think that's a good idea because you can use that to drive traffic to other places. Like at one point, I actually had 15 million Twitter followers dedicated to various different niches. And we just use that to kind of powerhouse the traffic being driven to the actual brand. What it's kind of coming to now is that your reach is consistently getting nerfed further and further as you go through Facebook and Instagram. So paid is becoming even better, kind of at the end of the day here. But I do highly recommend it because at the end of the day, it's just completely free traffic that you'll always have to you can utilize and push out. Great presentation. Thank you so much. For Facebook paid ads, there are different ad campaigns to use to choose from, like awareness, traffic. Which should we use and which should we not use? Okay, great question. Let's just pull up the ad manager again. So these are all the types of campaign objectives you can use. The thing to know about Facebook ads is there's three levels to it. There's campaigns, there's ad sets, and there's ads. The difference between them is campaigns is literally just this. You're just choosing what do I want to optimize for. On the ad set level, I'll just walk you guys through this. On the campaign objective level, what do we want to optimize for? Do we want to optimize for brand awareness, reach, traffic, engagement, app installs, video views, lead generation, messages, conversions, catalog sales, or store traffic? The only ones that I personally like to use and I love to use are engagement, app installs, video views, and conversions. So brand awareness and reach, you're gonna get a lot of impressions. You're gonna get shown to an absolute ton of people, but it's not gonna it won't necessarily lead to sales and conversions and like that kind of stuff. It's just going to show your advertisement to as many people as possible. It's going to optimize for that. When you are running anything under consideration, so again, you can run traffic ads. This is going to lead to an absolute ton of people coming to your website, but it's not necessarily quality people who might buy from you or interact in the way that you want. It's great if you need to show off numbers to say, hey, look how many people are on our website, but it's not going to necessarily lead to conversions or anything like that, which actually might in turn hurt you because now your conversion rate might be dropping because so many people coming to your website and bouncing off later on because they're not buying from you. Engagement is really good because it will lead to the most amount of likes, comments, and shares on a post. If you believe that post is going to get quite a few people commenting and sharing it with their friends, I recommend running engagement ads because that's really good. It'll give you the most amount of likes and kind of give the brand just like a really good look if other people are kind of looking at it and saying, oh, wow, this post got so many likes and those kinds of things. The reason I say engagement is really good because you can actually create an audience later on to retarget people who engage with it with potentially a special offer saying like, oh, 20% off. And you only want it to go to people who liked, commented, and shared that specific post from before. App installs is also really good because what you can do is, again, you're going to optimize for anybody who has their own app. Very, very simple, very straightforward. Video views is actually really good as well because, again, like I said before, if you guys make a 2-minute video that might be about the mission and what the brand is doing, that's very different, and like really just sharing that stuff out, you can optimize for video views. It's gonna try to get you the most amount of people watching your video that you can then later go and be like, I want to retarget people who watched 50% of this 3-minute video or 75% of this 3-minute video because those people probably have the highest intent to actually they cared enough to watch the whole thing, so they probably have the highest intent to potentially purchase or work with your service or whatever it actually was. The very last one I really love using and what I use for virtually everything because I primarily run e-commerce brands that we work with through the agency is conversion because I can optimize specifically for purchase. So it's going to only show it specifically to the people who have the highest odds of purchasing from the brand. So let's say we're going with conversion for this in this case. Let's hit continue. So the next thing to know is that we have ad set. So I go to ad set. Within your ad set, this is where you can really get specific on who I want to target and kind of what's going on. So let's say we're just going to choose purchase here. And as we scroll through it, this is where you can choose exactly how much you're going to spend per day. You can choose the start date and the end date of what's going on. And I can choose the location. So let's say I want to target Canada. And this is kind of where you can take some of the information you got from Audience Insights and bring it over here. So again, I can go to detailed targeting. We're going to target people having a high level interest in cats. And not found for some reason. There you go, cats. So the really cool thing here is you can see that there's 523 million people across the planet who have a high level interest in cats. But because we've specified this to Canada, you'll see that the potential reach is 26 million people who have a high level interest in cats. And I can exclude, I can be like, I don't want people who have a high interest level in dogs to even show up on here. So now it's going to only show people with a high level interest in cats, and I actually knocked out another 10 million people from my potential reach. And as you go through this further, you can choose the placements that it's placed on. So you can choose, do I want it to be on Facebook? Do I want it to be on Instagram? Do I want it to be on stories or just the feed, and kind of so on and so forth. And then the very last thing